This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 14th of June 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Niske, welcoming back 2M from Coast, where he was celebrating 2J's birthday. Thank you
Asante sana.
so much for traveling so much like DCI.
The people from Pony say hello.
And we say hello right back.
I went to look for Joho, but I didn't find it.
Stop your lies. Let us continue. On to today's headlines. Daily Nation, Rotich hits the poor. The Standard, real hustlers hit, and the hustlers is in quotation marks. And the Star, Rotich hits border gamblers in budget.
As we suspected, it's more budget.
Yeah, for that reason, I say we do it all together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Rotich is still the star of the headlines, right?
You know, he is a star, but I don't know why they're throwing rocks at him. And I want to say that Rotich did an excellent job. I'll go against the media. It's because these people have herd instinct. They think everybody's like sheep. See, yesterday they said that Rotich will tax VAT. He will add more tax on VAT and pay as you earn. Rotich did not do that. All right?
Okay.
He was more thoughtful. He put a sin tax on things we consume probably every weekend. That's cigarettes and probably every day. Cigarettes and alcohol.
Speak for yourself.
And gambling.
And gambling.
Okay,
you know?
but when you look at that on the flip side, when he's also hitting border riders, right?
It's all right, fair
But
enough.
it's protective. If you look at it, what he's doing is trying to protect the people who get hurt when they're on those borders. So it's for your protection. And pedestrians who are hit by border
But how
riders.
might that impact innovation? Because you have lots of these new companies that are taking advantage of the fact that the border industry is thriving and growing.
Let me
Thrive
tell you.
and grow, but protect the passengers.
Let me tell you, these companies have colonial opportunity.
Yes.
All right, and that is because this industry called border is unregulated. Okay. Now you have a 700 billion shilling economy within the border sector. And that is informal. Do you get a receipt when you claim a border?
No one has asked them for tax.
No, you don't get
No
a
one has
DTI
asked them
receipt.
for tax. No
Look,
one has asked them for tax.
Out of 17 million people in this country who work, only 2.7 pay as you earn. All right, income tax.
Yeah.
The rest are joyriders. They only pay VAT. Right? You buy a soda. Now I'm about to bring an argument here. And I'm about to go to some level.
All right.
I think that if you don't pay tax, you should not vote.
And I think what you're talking about is a concept that started in the early 1700s.
Yes.
No representation, no taxation.
Yes.
So I know it is controversial.
You know, I once said here that we should look at Kenya as a Kenya Incorporated, Kenya Inc., right? Every 5 years we hold an election.
Yeah.
That election is an AGM, right? An AGM has shareholders. Now, sometimes people get crushed into that AGM and start saying, we need new directors.
Yeah.
How do you want new directors?
Okay,
and you
but
have no shares.
Okay, let me ask you then. What % of the Kenyan public pay taxes?
Very few.
So you're saying...
No, everybody pays a tax, and that is...
Of some sort.
Of some sort. Of some sort.
I mean, not pay your pay as you earn,
But
but
50% of tax revenue in this country is income tax, right?
Collected from a very small amount of people.
So are you taking us back to what we learned this week? Are we talking about Pareto optimality? So we're saying that a small number of people pay the majority of the tax.
Yes.
Therefore, that small number of people should also make majority of the decisions.
Precisely.
And
If I don't
also
have-
should be the only ones voting.
So am I then penalized for not having money in my pocket such that I am able to meet that threshold for paying taxes?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Look, there are people who would say, I don't have to vote.
I know, and it's true. Some people would just opt out of voting.
Okay, yes, you can opt out of voting because it is your right to vote, but it is not enforceable and fully put in right.
Yeah.
But I don't think
so
that
2M.
this 80-20...
The argument you're making, therefore, is in direct contradiction with the headlines. You're saying that Rotich is not to blame, and so the headlines are being unfair to place that blame on him.
And I agree. You see, what happened? 2010, Kenyans went to the ballot to vote for a new constitution. We did not give Uhuru Kenyatta a new constitution. We gave him an invoice. So you pay for that.
And if you don't pay for it, you don't vote.
Yes.
Okay, I will say, of the three headlines, the one that I like the most is The Standard.
Hold on.
Okay.
We have a three-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you, and we ask ourselves three questions. As we break down the headlines, and not what they're implying or saying, what we think and hope they should say, we ask ourselves three questions. Is this headline topical or is it speculative? Is it repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
They're all lazy.
I think I think they're all lazy, but I think based on what you said, The Standard is the winning headline because it did not specifically blame Rotich, right?
Yes.
Can we agree on that?
And it's also hinting at who the real hustlers could be.
Oh gosh.
The people who call themselves hustlers are not the
So
real
we are
hustlers. We're tossing the Star and the Daily Nation, and we're going to keep the Standard as our winning headline.
Yes.
Fantastic. On to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a three-part criteria we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves, is this cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is this cartoon satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or just plain lazy?
Ndula drank the Kool-Aid.
The corruption Kool-Aid.
Yes.
What do you see?
Because, let me explain it before I analyze it. Is CS Treasury, Henry Rotich, and he's presenting his budget and his briefcase is open. But the briefcase is a trough, and the pigs are feeding from that trough.
It's pet pigs, one boy pig, a girl pig.
So there are three pigs. There is a corruption pig, there is a witch bill pig,
there's wastage pig.
And it's like, shh. Back here, and he's giving
a thumbs up to the public.
Everything's A-okay.
I find this. I mean, guys, look, Jay-Z has a quote, and he says,
"We went there."
Yes, I'm going to go there. He says, "I'd rather die enormous than live dormant." All right.
Okay.
And I think Uhuru Kenyatta and Henry Rotich have been listening to Jay-Z when they were making the budget.
Oh my gosh.
Because we cannot stay in a perpetual state of being dormant. We are being average, right?
So
we have our neighbors who are building SGRs all over. We need to compete with other people. And it's going to cost, yes, and we're going to feel some pinch.
Are you endorsing corruption?
It's not corruption. I'm saying the high cost of the budget.
Okay.
3 trillion bob is a lot of money, yes, I understand. But for us to get to the next level, we need to feel a little bit of pain.
All right. Okay. I say let's look at the next cartoon before we decide if we like this one.
Or not. Oh my
not.
goodness.
Yes.
Jay-Z and his baby pigs.
The Star.
The Star.
Yeah.
Oh my
again,
goodness.
Henry Rotich. He's holding, is it a transparent briefcase?
I think it's supposed to be the Treasury briefcase.
Treasury briefcase.
Because what lies beyond.
Yes, so government is slapping Wanjiko.
Okay.
Is it really government slapping Wanjiko, or is this a reference to what happened between the members of parliament of Wajir?
Yeah, the women rap, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
so in the caption he says, "We shall raise hands."
Sorry, I mean levies on.
Yeah.
I love the play on that.
No, I think
although this is
I think that
very
the play on words has nothing on what this cartoon is talking about. This is the second cartoon in a row, I believe, that Ozone has taken a very distasteful tone in regards to violence, and I think that
I actually think he supports no violence against women.
Do you get that from this cartoon?
Because he's saying instead of what the budget was about violence against women.
This is disgusting. I don't even want to talk about it. Honestly, he needs to change his tone.
And finally, on budget terms, a fat cat.
The fat cat with a cigar.
All right. Again, another Rotich cartoon.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, because this shows the fat cat sitting and I don't know, I think there should be two. Who should be on the other side? Because every time they depict a little person on the shoulder, you're looking at the good angel and the bad angel telling you what to do. So is Rotich the good angel or the bad angel? What is he telling the fat cat to do? I don't know.
I actually think what they're saying is Rotich is beholden to the fat cat. And I don't think Gado is wrong. I think, and I'm going to go again to the extreme, I think that the budget is not a budget for the people. And if the people think it is for them, then they are wrong. It is for big people, rich people, wealthy people, and corporations.
Here you said, and I go back to your Jay-Z quote of a few minutes ago, it was, "I'd rather die
enormous
than
live dormant."
And can we do a comparison, a quick one, of what the East Africa total budget is versus what Kenya's individual budget is?
I don't know.
Is it bad?
I would need to get some figures.
I don't know. I'm told that 26 trillion is what everyone else is getting versus ours, which is 29 trillion.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So I think we are going big.
Yes.
And we're not
But
going
are we
home.
not the leaders of East Africa?
Absolutely.
Is it not warranted? Maybe
Yes.
I'm agreeing with 2M's point then. I don't know.
Let's do it.
All right, so when we compare these two cartoons, what are we saying?
I say we toss all the cartoons. I have no feelings or attachments to any
I
of them.
completely agree. Yes.
We have no winning cartoon. And what is our final thought?
We missed you yesterday.
You did? I saw you mimicking me. And
I
then
did a very good
I
job.
saw someone throwing something at you. So next time you know, you cannot mimic me.
All right, 2M.
What is the final thought?
Yes.
And now our final thought. Inspired by a book entitled The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Tolle?
Eckhart
These people with
Tolle.
these names.
Potato, potato, tomato, tomato.
Can these people say Kemani or say Kaimani? Look,
What
Alright.
is the book about?
it's about the power of now, all right? And I summarize it as the utility of now, all right? That happiness does not reside in the past, or neither does it reside in the future. It resides now. That any minute you think about the past or the future, you've wasted it. But I also have another takeaway. That, and I'll go back to the book called The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Okay, and what this Tolle guy tells us is you might go looking for happiness or for satisfaction wherever in the world, but you must also realize that that satisfaction and happiness resides within you. Right? There are some places this book goes that I don't want to really meddle in, but that withinness and happiness and satisfaction is what I took home.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, yeah. Really did miss you. Okay, so the subtitle of the book is A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite interesting. One of the reviews at the back of the book calls it the Bible du jour, which means that they're likening it to the Bible of the day, or a newer Bible, which I know, Miss K, you're cringing at that. We'll get there. So
I'm just smiling at you. I really don't know what's going on today.
so this book is a spiritual self-help guide to help us discover our inner being, release our pain, and find inner peace.
Yeah.
So Tolle, he shares in this book how he became enlightened himself. So he talks about how when he was 29, he was dealing with anxiety, he was dealing with depression, and through that he found this Zen place.
Yes.
And so in this book, he captures what he discovered to share with the world. So the book takes on a Q&A format, where he takes on questions that people would ask about spiritual enlightenment, and then he answers them.
Yeah.
So in this book, I think we'll define enlightenment as being, as having rising above thought.
Yeah.
So he talks about how our minds are constantly feeding on the past and thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And so as long as you're constantly identifying with your mind, you will remain, your mind will remain as your biggest obstacle. So you're constantly thinking about the past, constantly worrying about the future.
Yeah.
So you're never focusing on the present. And he says that every day, everything that you do should be guided on and based on the present.
Yeah.
And he says that you yourself are the key to unlocking that obstacle.
Okay.
And so I think it's a really interesting book. I know, as you're saying to him, he does have some controversial things he talks about, how he says that you should not believe in God because you yourself are God. Ms. K, I think that I will guide that. I'll send that over to you too. Tell us more about what you think.
I have held my own until now, and I will bring this book here with me and say that of all the books that we have read and reviewed on this table, this is the one to which I am violently opposed.
Okay.
And I'm violently opposed because it preaches, and as I said, it's the Bible du jour, which is, it's the new Bible. It does New Ageism. It preaches New Ageism. And what New Ageism really is, it's a movement that is characterized by alternative approaches to Western culture that are based in spirituality, that are based in mysticism, and that found their origins in the occult.
Yes.
It's
Black
a
magic.
compilation of Eastern influenced thought systems that unite theology, nature, and philosophy. And what they do is that they make us feel good because we will do what feels right to us at this particular moment without hurting anyone else. They make us have moral relativism because what is right depends on what we're doing at that time, and they will just have pluralism. We are tolerant of everyone, and we're incorporating with all tribes, religions, cultures, and gods, or the lack thereof. Now, the basic thing that I want to do today is this.
Yeah.
And we have reviewed a lot of New Age type books on this show.
Yeah,
we have looked at the Alchemist. We have looked at The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And here's the thing about those books. Those other books pick out one little element of it, and then they expound on it, and you can find something that you can pick out and go home with from those books. What this book is that this is your how-to guide on how to be a New Ageist. And I cannot endorse that. The Christian in me is violently opposed, because what this does is that it goes against the original sin. And when I say the original sin, I go back to Adam and Eve in the garden, and where they said, you will be like God.
Not you will be God. Yes.
So you are the God as per this book. And what I want to do, and what you need to do, is I'm going to issue a cautionary note to any person who picks up Eckhart Tolle or any other New Age person.
I mean, The Secret falls into this category, doesn't it?
It really does. What I want you to do is have a caution. And I'm not trying to cause controversy or trying to be judgmental, because we do read these books. But what I want you to do is have that filter. Read it with a word of caution, and for you to know that as you read this, this is where it falls between my belief and where truth and where mysticism lie.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
But I want to ask this question, Ms. Kim. I understand what you're saying, but are we being shackled by religious doctrine, so much so that we can't be open to new ideas? Is there not a single idea in this book that you would take home today?
Here's the thing. Like I said, this is your go-to guide. Now, I cannot send you on a path without a caution for you to know where you're going to end up. And I am going to, in fact, give you another book to read because you have determined that you want. I'm going to give you another book to read, and I'm going to give you a book called The Seduction of Christianity. Spiritual Discernment in the Last Days. It's by Dave Hunt and T.A. McMahon. I want you to look at this book, and I want you to go and see what it says. And what it says is that these New Age concepts are being practiced by a lot of Christians and a lot of religious people.
Oh, yes, very
true. Very, very purely and from a very good place. And they believe what they're doing, but what these things are doing is that they're attempting to realize the Godhood within you. And that goes contrary to the original principles that we founded on.
You know,
and the problem is, many of us, and me included, will not be able to recognize occulticism unless it's in its most extreme and violent form.
This is very subtle. This is soft power.
This is a cautionary note.
I will say, we've read this when we talked about Sun Tzu. He says, know thine enemy, know thyself. So I would also say as the flip. I think it is also important to know what evil exists in the world so that we can also protect ourselves. It's not to say that we should read it and accept it, but yes, read it as you're saying with that filter so that we can protect ourselves and be cautious in that.
That is very true.
You know, I was reading this book. There's a concept Prof told me about, and he said that the future is a mirage that we don't know. You know, and then going back to what you said, there are orders in the occult. And I believe they're the occult. And I sort of sense it in this book. That the earlier you begin reading it, they say everything to you, right? Things that you're familiar with. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that you're getting into uncharted waters. Now, I know of an order, I will not name it here. You start with knowing, and they say all religions are inclusive.
Together.
But if you get to a certain degree, then only a few of you know the secret. And now that, and then starts being uncharted waters. I will not say what order or movement that is.
All right.
What I will say is take the cautionary note.
Yes.
And I think what we agreed today with this book is we're going to toss it, right?
Yeah, very far.
I think we're tossing it. As we toss the papers that do not meet our criteria, today we shall also be tossing this book.
Toss it. You know where I stand on this matter.
Yes, we do, Ms. Kim.
This is Winning Headlines. We did not have a winning cartoon, but we did have a winning headline from the Standard. This week we took you through a journey through other disciplines. We started with your mind and understanding its limitations or its expansiveness.
Yeah.
We looked at what were called moonwalking with Einstein and how you can be able to grow your memory and retain things by creating moon palaces,
Yeah.
mental palaces.
Yeah.
We did algorithms to live by, where we looked at computer science and how that can do the best thing that you can take algorithms that they have applied in computer science
Yeah.
and have them break down simply, give you instructions, a set of tools, a recipe
Yeah.
that you can then apply in your life.
Yes.
Yes.
We then looked at the natural laws of business, whether they're biological,
Yeah.
physical, or non-linear,
Hey.
and we picked up ideas on how we can use those in our businesses and in our lives. Finally, we learned how to learn from all the things that we've done and come out better in
Yes.
anti-fragile.
Yeah.
And today, we
Yeah.
have learned that Eckhart Tolle would like you to empty your mind, but we're telling you not to the point of nothingness. So with that cautionary note,
Make me say, I'll go.
Algorithm.
I'll go.
I'll go with it.
We try to. Have a great weekend. See you next week.